Another issue. The police told me over a year ago that ACC are just trying to buy time. Everybody involved in it is just trying to buy time, and that's an admission in itself that I'm being held criminally to blackmail and criminally to ransom, and that nothing's been done to address my injuries or rehabilitation or uphold the laws and the legislation in accordance with how they're supposed to be upheld. You know, this is where human rights abuses come into it. But the Human Rights Commission have this idiotic mentality of take up refugee status in another country. When you're left in this situation, I've sent off emails, I've sent off videos to people to try and get them to understand exactly the situation I'm stuck in. I've sought help from just about everybody I can seek help from, and their attitude is, we don't want anything to do with it. You see, everybody's a part of this killer disease because everybody wants the ultimate outcome, you know, and it's all to your detriment. The media don't do what they're supposed to do in New Zealand because they're too busy trying to protect all those corrupt officials in positions of power. They're all too busy being propagandists about how beautiful New Zealand is. Beautiful country run by toxic waste. You know what I mean? I think the rivers are about as toxic waste as those in positions of power. It's going to take them 25 years to clean it up, if ever. Yeah, there'll be a lot of kids having Helicobacter pylori and all the rest of it, or whatever other diseases you can get from those rivers. I don't see how lawyers can actually run rehabilitation. I don't see how forensic psychiatrists are denied for their innuendos, assumptions. You know, it's like you're dealing with narcissism. You're dealing with narcissistic pricks. You're dealing with people who are actually deranged in their own way, you know. People don't like the truth. I think that's the problem in this case. And New Zealanders they allow these people to single out one person at a time. And the government literally gets away with it because it's only one person at a time. So, you know, as long as it's only 2 or 3 or 4 or 500 people a year, you know what I mean? It's low in the process of that sort of thing. So if it's kept low, they're able to stay under the radar, and the people of this country just turn a blind eye. Everybody's got their own problems to deal with. Everybody's got their own issues to deal with. It's what's important to you and what's not important to you. If this ended in a bloodbath, you'd all be all over it, every last one of you. You know, it's like you'd all have your opinions and going blah blah blah. Well, I've done everything I can do. I just want my life out of harm's way. I don't believe that New Zealand should be violating people's human rights. I don't believe that those in positions of power should be ignoring the facts of this case. I don't believe that judges should be only dealing with the small aspects of the legislation. Because in reality, you have crimes being committed against the victim. Sinister, malicious criminal purposes and actions. And those crimes don't even come into effect because those in positions of power are covering it all up. So you're literally, if you breathe or shit the wrong way, you know what I mean? It's like they'll just harm you, literally, you know. And the way the court system's set up is because if you're accused of something, they'll harm you and they'll pile all their shit on top of you for as much as they can, for as long as they can. But all the corruption and criminality that they've actually created, that's led you to the situation you're in, it's ignored. It's literally ignored. And this is half the problem in New Zealand. It's you're dealing with people who can't answer a question, people who refuse to bring in proper regulations as to video recording things, as to protecting the victims from these scum lowlife that they employ. You know, this killer disease mentality. This, you know, I just class them as a disease. You know, they're just like all the particles in a nuclear warhead. Some of them are killers, and some of them are just, you know, you might be able to, if you're lucky, you'll be able to come through it and survive it. And I think that's the best way to actually describe these people. They're all particles of a nuclear missile, and they are the vermin of this planet. I mean vermin, you know. And their intent is to destroy the victims' lives, whether it's mine or whether it's somebody else's. Like, at the end of the day, it's my life in this instance. But I can sit here and I can get angry and I can get frustrated and I can get, yeah, there's that many things in your brain, because they just infect your brain from different angles, different times. So you could be talking about one issue and then you get on to another issue because your mind is just overloaded with all the shite that they dumped into you. It's just all part of their killer disease, you know. But the intent is to actually drive you insane or criminally insane. And the whole problem is that if you retaliate or you defend yourself to the fullest extent practicable in any given situation, you lift your hand. They've got you right exactly where they wanted to get you to. And this is where insanity and criminally insane comes into it. It's because that's how these animals work. I mean, I used to think that forensic psychiatrists or psychiatrists were actually there to help ill people or to help people with serious problems, you know. I didn't actually realize they were actually used by government to actually criminally contain people's lives and criminally destroy people's lives, and to leave out all the violence and abuse and threats and intimidation, harassment, criminal harassment that a victim is subjected to, like Reese Tapsell did, like Ailsa Duffy did on a grand scale of things, like Beverly Wakeham did on a grand scale of things, like the police and the IPCA did on a grand scale of things. And then what you have is these animals then all declaring themselves, I'm a victim. They're not victims at all. They're the scum of the earth. And I'm looking you straight in the eye and telling you all that. Scum of the earth. I've done nothing wrong in this case but tell you the truth from the start. And you are the ones who covered up all the crimes. And committed crimes to actually control the entire situation. So, what am I left with? I'll be coming to ask you very serious questions, Kerry Kay. Kerry Kay's the person who was put as my police contact in New Zealand, because there's too many questions left unanswered, and I want answers as to why there was no investigations into all the corruption and criminality. I want answers as to how the act of war statement by Shane Page was an off-the-cuff remark. I want answers to other questions. I've got tape recordings between me and Kerry Kay that he's made just talking generally. You know, you can get people to say a lot of things when they're talking generally, and when you actually play back them on them, you actually go, right, okay, we'll deal with that a little bit more. So I am going on to see the New Zealand police in a very civilized manner, like I am now. And I will be asking very serious questions, whether they want to face up or whether they don't. But at the end of the day, I'll be going to do that in the next week or two. And, you know, whatever comes out of that, you know. But at the end of the day, I won't put up with any of their intimidation or the threats or their violence. You know, I'm going there to ask questions. I'm not going there for violence. And if my questions as to their honesty and their integrity and their standing in this case, you know, if like everybody, they don't like the truth. I'm so experienced with the intimidation and the threats and the violence So, but I'm not afraid of it. Nor will I ever be afraid of it. You know what I mean? If you're going to kill me, kill me. You've already pointed guns at me and everything else. There's nothing more you can do. You can't humiliate me any more than you already have. You can't degrade me any more than you already have. The problem is that you people have no shame. You have no shame whatsoever in what you do to your victims' lives. You know, you can think whatever you like of me. At the end of the day, I had my injuries and you fucked them up. And now you've left me with a nervous system that's completely and utterly shattered. You've left me with health problems that are completely and utterly unacceptable when you call it rehabilitation. And you've left me in a criminally blackmailing, criminally holding to ransom, kidnapping, prisoner, hostage, captive situation, which is exactly what New Zealand runs under ACC. And your intention to get rid of your victims for free, which is basically how you people work. While you line the pockets of many, many people. And that brings me to the aspect of, I want you all to listen to this very carefully. If you take into consideration private investigators, police time, money, energy, effort, resources, Crown resources, Crown Law Office resources, Ombudsman's resources and time, Commissioners' resources and time, MPs, Ministers, Prime Minister's resources and time, Parliament security, time, resources and time, forensic psychiatrists, psychologists, all the bullshit on the sun. You put all that money together, right? You're talking millions, right? All ACC staff and everything else. You put all that money together, and you have to ask yourself, why was there so many millions spent on trying to destroy my life? And bugger all spent on actually returning it to the best it could be. I'll let you work that one out. Because at the end of the day, that's the reality of what I'm facing. And that's the reality of this case. And that's where the criminality and the corruption and the organised criminals basically get away with murder. Why is McGreevy not up in criminal charges for fraud of Crown taxpayers' money and resources? Because he's a lawyer. So it just goes to show, when it comes to deciding a person's fate, you'll spend everything you have in destroying your victim's life in every way you can. You'll try and defame them to society. You're even using police to come to people's doors, trying to be mind readers or medically qualified to diagnose whether a person is insane or criminally insane or something like that. The only criminally insane people in this case are the scum running this country and the scum who ran it before them. And those who are running their administrations and all want to hide away behind their administrations while carrying out their crimes and their corruption and their criminality. No forensic psychiatrist wants to sit down in front of me and answer my questions. So here's a piece of advice for everybody. As soon as they instigate fear and violence or threats, intimidation, harassment, criminal harassment, don't stand and take it, just walk away from it. As soon as they say they want a forensic psychiatrist involved, or they want a psychologist involved, you demand that it all be video recorded there and then. Don't go near their offices again, don't send them any emails, don't call them. It's their job to come to you and to look after your needs. You're the injured person. You're the one who they're supposed to be returning to the best they can be. As it stands, they don't manage anything. They manage money, they minimize what you're covered for, they minimize everything else, and they go out to basically frustrate you, harass you, criminally harass you. They'll do anything. Because as soon as you bite onto whatever they're trying to do, that's how these people are trained. They're trained to make money. They're trained to save money. They're trained to disentitle you in every way they can. And they're trained to literally turn your life into a prisoner, a hostage, and a captive. So I don't think I can give you any more advice than that on how to manage dealing with toxic waste, proven habitual compulsive liars, scum of the earth, lowlifes, who literally make false declarations in a victim's name and then cover it up, which then brings me back to David Herbury again. Here's serious questions, Dave. Why did you let Elsa Duffy leave out the false declaration? And why did you go after the money rather than the truth? When I told you, fuck the money. I want the truth and I want the facts. But I need to know why all the relevant information was left out of the case. Alright, I respect you in a lot of ways, Dave. And that's my only way out. You know, you want your anonymity. Why are you not going and telling the New Zealand people exactly what they're playing at? Why are you not standing up and saying, you know, I've tried to do this, I've tried to do that, I've tried to do the other. I mean, they say, like, it's just frustrating the hell out of me every day. And you're the only one that I've been really relying on, you know? But the more I rely on you, the worse you become. And you're not getting anything done. So, you know, there's just too many questions left unanswered. As it stands, I'm just literally, I don't know, I'm at my wit's end. I've reached the end of my road. I've reached the end of my looking for help. I still think the British government should have stepped in. I still think they should. And I think they should seek justice and accountability for the corruption and criminality of how ACC claims to be running a no false compensation corporation when all they're really running is criminal containment, vigilantism, and holding victims hostage. You know, you changed the laws in relation to people being able to go back home for treatment. They have to be in the country for 6 months. Well, I've got children. I can't be out of the country for 6 months. But then again, I'm getting deadly shit here. I mean, they say I'm not getting any help at all. The other aspect of that as well is you've got medical professionals who haven't got a clue about my case because all my medical notes and all my medical files have been destroyed by somebody following the suicide of Dr. Brett Roach in 2009, December. So, since he's committed suicide, no one has been addressing my injuries. No one's been addressing anything in my case. What I do is I get a medical certificate and, you know, you want this medication, you want that you know, I may as well be my own fucking doctor at this rate of going. You know, it's, yeah. I would need to be my own doctor, my own specialist, my own expert at medical injuries. I would need to be a lawyer, a barrister, a Queen's Counsel, a judge, an ombudsman, a chief ombudsman, a commissioner, a governor general even. At the end of the day, I would need to know all the laws and all the legislation that enable me to take all these people to task. And this is literally how these animals bury you under all their bullshit. So, if all those people are needed to run this case, how much do you think it's going to cost? That's how they hold their victims, criminally to blackmail, criminally to ransom, and literally as their prisoners, hostages and captives, because they know you can't afford the costs of all this. And this is literally how they get away with murder. And that's the whole problem in this case. I'll literally say it here and now, that I agree with everybody in their own statements that they want this to end in a last resort. That's why it's been driven with fear and violence, and that's why it's been driven on the path that it has. Because the forensic psychiatrists are all about covering their crimes, and they're not interested in the amount of crimes that they committed before that. They're only interested in your state of mind and driving you to that state of mind. And you as the victim are only hell-bent on getting away from this terrorism of your life at the hands of these terrorists. And I think forensic psychiatrists need to go back to school and retrain on exactly how to write up a report, because Reese Tapsell hasn't got a fucking clue. If you're going to leave out all the facts and all the evidence and then claim you're not a lawyer, then you shouldn't be a psychiatrist. You should never have passed an exam to begin with. If you're going to claim that you're trying to look after patients, or you're trying to medically help somebody, by leaving out all the evidence and all the facts is not helping anyone. That's just assisting those in positions of power criminally contain a victim's life. So what does that make you, Reese Tapsell? I have to ask myself that question. But I think you should be asking yourself that question. Forensic psychiatrist? No. You just took the money and ran. And you gave them whatever bullshit you wanted to give them. And you're the reason that this case ended up in the path that it ended up, along with Dr. Alan Dickey, along with Dr. Martin Eade, along with, because you became involved, Alan Dickey became involved after Martin Eade, and ACC manipulated him, which is where the psychiatric bullshit started. This is how McGreevy manipulated this entire process. And he did that deliberately, to start off this vigilante process. So Dr. Alan Dickey is, in this regard, as guilty as anybody for starting off this process and for being a party to assisting in this process. And that, the part I hate about that is Alan Dickey's Irish. You know, don't know if he's Catholic or Protestant. I never ever asked him, but he did make a few comments along the way. I only saw him for a short period of time, but he did make a few derogatory comments about Catholics, so I was a bit confused as to what religion he was. But I've never let that bother me, you know. It's, I treat people for how they treat me. And I respect people no matter what their religion, colour or creed. It's as simple as that. If they respect me, I'll respect them. And but when I'm in a situation where my entire life's been attacked, and my nationality's being attacked, and my religion's being attacked, and my childhood's being attacked, and my family's being attacked, my friends, my acquaintances are all coming under a line of attack. And, you know, basically trying to put my life under a magnifying glass and a microscope and rip it apart, because that's all these terrorists do. But see, it's the amount of money they spent on doing all this. You know, these people are nothing but a toxic waste, killer disease. That's all I can class them as. I wish I could say a lot more of it. I could sit here and I could say fuck this and fuck that and fuck the other, but you know, that's not going to do me any good, is it? I just think they're scum of the earth, and I've done everything I can do to bring this to an end peacefully, and I somehow think that it's not going to end peacefully. Not because I don't want it to, but because I'm not willing to get through another load of years under the controls of these vigilantes and these state terrorists, serial violators and fucking rapists. I'm not willing to be held criminally to blackmail and criminally to ransom. And it's not a nice way to live. I had a lot more plans for my life than this shit. And after 17 years of it, I'm afraid I'm at the end of my road. People have places to go and people to see and things to do in relation to getting my life out of the hands of you fucking terrorists. So, If it has to end in a last resort, so be it. You know what I mean? I'll take it there if I have to. But I'm giving you the opportunity to end it peacefully. And if you want to bring all your fucking psychiatrists in and come out with all this bullshit, you just remember, you better video record every fucking word between me and them. But as we all know, you people don't want to video record anything because you have too many crimes to answer for. But I'm not going to back down to you. I'm not going to say that I'm the most peaceful person in the world anymore. I used to be. I don't know who I am anymore. Because my mind has just been infected by toxic waste. By a killer disease of people. And I'm never going to have a peaceful life until I'm out of their hands. And I'm sick of them picking on my family. I'm sick of them picking on my children. I'm sick of them trying to use my children to, you know, if truth be told, if I didn't have my children, this would have been a fucking bloodbath a long time ago. And McGreevy definitely would have, I would have fucking put that bastard in a wheelchair. I wouldn't even want to kill him, for the simple reason being I'd want the fucker to suffer just as much as he's made me suffer. But then again, I would want a lot of them to suffer. Killing them would be